This guy right here. So yeah, this game is super interesting, Dragonheir, where there are epics that are plug and play that may in fact be better than a lot of the legendaries. Now, gotta give a shout out to Dragonheir for sponsoring this video. There's a link in the description where you can download this game, not only on iOS and Android, PC and Mac, now Steam. But you know, I've only been buying the battle passes and the $5 30-day thing where you get extra gold and you get some extra tickets every day. And I have not gone crazy and got a bunch of legendaries. And I've only pulled 2 legendaries right here, and they're both very good. I actually got super lucky with this guy right here. But what I'm finding is that some of these epics are just absolutely spectacular as far as plug and play. And then I look at the legendaries, and the legendaries are better in some things, or they're better when paired up with another character. And the amount that's the damage that they may be able to do and the way that they accomplish something might actually be better, but oftentimes it requires like a combo for it to work. And there's these epics that are just over the top good and maybe even better than some of the legendaries. Now, Voresh is my favorite character in the game, and Voresh does so many things very well. Probably one of the best characters in the game, and I'm going to say that he's better than most of the legendaries that I've engaged with, and I'm sure there's situations. This game is actually kind of hard to say, well, this character is the best at all things. Well, because there's so many different game modes and so many different uses, and it feels that there's so many different functions for so many different characters. I think you get the point if you played. But let's just go over Voresh, and we're going to go over the epics that I have gotten the most use out of. And we're also going to go over one rare that is just over the top good as well. You probably already know which rare I'm going to do, because this rare pairs incredibly well with Voresh. Deals the ally with the lowest HP by 70% attack when dealing damage. This effect will only trigger once when dealing damage to multiple targets. So I typically will ramp the attack up on Voresh all the way to the roof. Some characters you ramp up, you know, crit damage and crit chance. With him, I just go all attack and some accuracy, right? You need some accuracy, but you know, per hit, oftentimes he's healing, you know, over 4,000 very easily. This is where it gets great right here. Cold damage to the enemy 3 times on dealing damage has a 50% chance of dispelling 1 buff from them. We're gonna go through some of the equipment dungeons and the ones that I'm doing on 9s, and Voresh is very good at some of them just because he's able to take away the attack up, which is absolutely vital in some of the graves, if you will. And then this right here hits the whole board. It pings 3 times. So if you're using like the Gambler 3-piece set, which makes it do so much damage, and it puts out buff prohibition. This guy's the best. Love him a ton. Now we're gonna go over my favorite tank in the game, and they're very different, but I think I like this guy equally as much. Boy, listen to the voice acting in this game. This guy here, you want a mod for defense, and defense. Specifically the 3-piece, ancient one, whatever it's called, ancient protector. This one right here. Ancestral protection, you got to do that. This is such an important mechanic to get. The wearer takes 15% of the damage otherwise be taken by allies while gaining 15% damage reduction. Only one character may trigger the damage reduction effect for the same team. So basically, almost like you want to have that 3-piece on at least one member in your team. Garas is that guy. And yes, not only does he have a fairly useful aura, not all characters have aura, but this is used everywhere. And oftentimes I switch to a damage one, and I'm switching back to this because it makes a big difference right here. Defense by 24% in all battles. When taking damage, the hero has a 50% chance of 1 stack of defense up permanently. This stack is undispellable and can be stacked up to 20 times. So he ramps up, and his healing that he's going to do, which we're going to go over here in a moment, is based off of his defense. And basically, you know, 2% times 20, he's getting 40% extra defense by the time this ramps up, and that's permanent. It doesn't get dispelled. So it's a feature on his character that gets better as the battle goes on. Then right here, deals damage to the enemy. Don't care about damage on this guy. With a 100% chance to knock up the target, which is fine. No problems with that. I think that's not why he's amazing. Then grants hit recovery to the hero for 10 seconds. So then you'll see Garas getting heals every time he's hit, and that's bonkers. Like, he is so hard to kill. In arena, sometimes people just can't get through him. Now, this is what's amazing. Now, you really don't have to, like, you can, I suppose, if you want, but typically I don't even have to worry about his resistance, because dispel all debuffs on the hero. So, like, if he's got heal block on him, well, he cleanses that, then he heals, and he heals himself, and this is a full board heal, so you don't have to worry about team positioning or if they're in the right spot or anything like that. It's just absolutely amazing. Love these two guys. So if you ever have the opportunity to pull an epic character, like there was that 99-cent chest, which I did buy, I highly recommend one of these two characters. They're my absolute favorites. Now, there's some other ones that I also think just as highly of, but we're getting into some situations that are a little bit more situational. Now, Furbath is new to me. Actually, I had those other two characters, and then when I got that 99-cent chest, I purchased Furbath, and I've been very happy with him, specifically because his poison, he's rounded off my poison team. His defense, increase allies' defense by 24%, only in dungeon battles. That's all right. When dealing damage to enemies under debuffs, the hero has a 30% chance of healing the ally with the lowest HP, which is also based off defense, and then dispelling one debuff from them. So he has like a nice, I think nice cleanse. Like, he's able to get rid of negative effects. I've been able to use him on the Fade Meander Tower, where, you know, all the stacks of the poisons are coming out. He's been pretty useful there. I wouldn't like solely depend on that right there, but it's very helpful. Hexandra, which is one of the starter characters, which I'm a huge fan of also, has a kind of a soft cleanse also, so it's very useful. Dispelling one debuff from them. The more debuffs on the target, the higher the healing amount. This effect can only be triggered once every 10 seconds. Then he's got Voodoo Therapy, generates a healing nexus around the hero for 6 seconds. Healing allies. This is based off of defense, so I've got him modded primarily for defense and for accuracy, and we'll get to why. And I also am using the same 3-piece on him right here. Ancestral Protection right there. I just think that's an amazing 3-piece set to use on him. And then on Vorash, we're talking about Varish, I think Gambler is the way to go. So that's useful, right? Absolutely useful. On this right here, he does damage to enemies within range with a 75% chance of inflicting attack penalty 2. Now, attack penalty 2 is probably one of the most important negative effects to be able to apply on your enemy. Typically, you need 2 characters to do that, and he does it. You kind of want to make sure that it's always up on some of the very challenging bosses, and I definitely recommend Furbath, or however you say his name. Furbath. Furbath. I love him. And lastly, I wanted to call out a rare, and best rare in the game, in my opinion, Sigrid. Holy moly. And she pairs well, not only with Vorash or with this guy right here, Dane, who probably could make the list, but I just wanted to talk about those 3. But Sigrid, holy moly, if you don't know by now, When enemy inflicted with debuff dies, the hero gains 25% ultimate energy. That's so useful in Goblin. The problem with her in Goblin, though, is that she gets so much energy, she often attacks first. And the way her ultimate works, there needs to be debuffs out there, which is why I said she pairs well with Voresh. Check this. Shoots 2 toxic arrows, each dealing poison damage. The skill has a 75% chance of inflicting healing prohibition. This is a vital mechanic on so many boss battles. Very important, and also very, very good in the arena. And then this is a monstrous amount of damage to an enemy, and all enemies inflicted with debuffs. So it just hits one enemy, but if the other 4 have debuffs, it'll hit all 5, putting out healing prohibition and attack penalty 2 for 10 seconds. I just think this is absolutely amazing. Must have character and pairs up very well with Voresh and other characters like Dane. So I'm putting this video out because it would be pretty easy for me to say that Gander's the best and he can help you get through so many things, but you know what? He's a legendary, and you may not have access to the legendaries you want. It's random. I've only pulled 2 legendaries since I started playing the game since global launch, and I got fortunate that I pulled 2 very good legendaries, and Urgander's very plug and play, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are not plug and play, and so it's not too helpful for me to talk about legendaries, where I feel like this game gives reasonable access, of course, to rares, but also to epics, and some of the epics that I mentioned are just as good as legendaries. Now, before I wrap up this video, I just wanted to talk about Shaltar, Dauntless. So this is amazing in Vortex and single target damage. He doesn't work by himself. And there are a couple legendary lightning, legendaries that are just amazing with him, but this guy gets the party started. I do have another Dauntless epic. So between these 2, I'm able to do a meaningful amount of damage in Vortex 4, in fact. But I got to give a shout out to Shaltar Dauntless. He kind of has a weird kit based off of doing attack and needing alignment, and it's interesting. But I've got him modded for attack plus enlightenment. Now, the good thing about him is you don't have to worry about accuracy on him. But let's take a look at his kit, and then we'll wrap up the video. Basic attacks have a 30% chance of releasing change lighting to deals 75% attack derivative lightning damage. So that's enlightenment. To enemies, each lightning chain can bounce 4 times amongst enemies at most. Then he has a shield, grants a lightning shield and a 15% attack up to an ally for 4 seconds. Lightning shield does attack and then derivative lightning damage. Again, that's based off of enlightenment. To nearby enemies. Now this is what makes him work right here, is he gains this gives this blessing of thunder, which really makes Dauntless shine, and he does so much damage against a single boss. I love using him in Vortex. Enhances all allies with lightning force, granting them blessing of thunder for 15 seconds when launching basic attacks. And some of these Dauntless, their basic attacks, they're constantly doing basic attacks, and they're just ramped up and doing tons and tons of them. The Dauntless team is great when you get it working, but it requires multiple pieces. And that's how I feel like a lot of legendaries are. So this is kind of like a legendary enabler, if you will. When launching basic attacks, all allies with Blessing of Thunder have a 30% chance of summoning a lightning strike on the enemy, dealing attack plus derivative lightning damage. Dauntless heroes have a double chance of triggering this effect. Who did I leave off the list? I was just only working off of epics and some of the rares that I personally have experienced. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and be sure to download the game using the link in the description, and a big shout out to Dragonheir for sponsoring this video. Bye for now.